Okay, so once you're in your Google Drive, you want to open up a blank sheet. I'm going to take this off because I can, because I'm in front of the room, so you can actually hear me. Okay, spreadsheets are used more when we're dealing with numbers. We can still use words in spreadsheets, but the main function of a spreadsheet is to help us perform calculations, and calculations that automatically do math for us based upon the information that we tell it. So it's a whole lot easier when you have a column full of numbers here and you create a formula to add it up for you, rather than trying to go through and calculate them all individually. So the good thing about that is once we create formulas and use them correctly, if we make changes within our data, then that answer that we got with our formula is also automatically updated. So we're going to just start kind of basic with our spreadsheet today and talk about the different parts, and then we'll start entering in some data as well. So spreadsheets are set up into columns and rows. So the columns are the up and down portion, just like columns hold your porch up, they go up and down. So columns are up and down, and they're represented by letters across the top of the screen. So Ellie asked if it only goes over 26 because there's 26 letters in the alphabet, but once you go over far enough, they start to doubling up the letter. And I don't know how far in Google Sheets they'll let us go before it starts doing. So we may have to add a row to get it to do, or a column to get it to do that. So Google Sheets is different than Excel. Someday if we ever all get back to real life and all get here, we can start using Excel instead of Sheets. So alphabetic letters represent our columns. Over to the left, the horizontal portion of our spreadsheet is called a row, and they're numbered over to the left. So you can scroll down. I'm not sure how far the numbers go down in Google Sheets, but in Excel, they go to thousands and thousands of rows to make up a spreadsheet. You'll also notice that at the bottom of the window, it says sheet 1. So spreadsheets can be made up of also multiple pages or multiple sheets. So I could click over here to add more sheets, and it would add different little worksheets to my file. And the file in Excel that's all saved together is called a workbook. So we called them documents when we were working in Docs or Word, and when we're in spreadsheets, we call them worksheets. So a little bit different terminology. Like our doc, we have toolbars, menu bars across the top. I'm not sure the exact term for it in sheets, but we've got our file menu, edit menu, view, insert, format, data, tools, add-ons, and help. And then we've got some other just tools that we can use right here too, just like in in Google Docs. They're just custom to being a spreadsheet itself. Okay, the little boxes that are in our spreadsheet are called cells. As you click around, you'll notice that it kind of highlights the letter and the row that we're in. So that's the cell reference of that box that you're in. So if I'm clicked here, I'm in B3. You ever play Battleship? And you have to put your boats in a certain place and try to guess based upon that grid. Same thing with spreadsheets. And as we start creating formulas, we'll use those cell names that go with their letter and row number in the formula that we create. So you're always going to have a cell name based upon that column letter and that row number. In Excel, we have a little name box over here that tells you which cell you're into, but Sheets doesn't do that for us. So you can click around to move cell to cell. You can also tab, takes you across the row. Enter moves you down a row. The arrow keys you can also use to move in any of the 4 directions of the arrow as well. Your what's not working? Because you weren't clicked on a cell. So you have to have a cell selected in order for it to work. So the cell that we're clicked on and are typing in is called our active cell. So that's kind of like our insertion point when we were working in Word. So whichever box that you're clicked in is where the information that you type is going to appear. I told you tab would take you across the row. Shift tab takes you backwards on that. So if you tab across, shift tab takes you back. And same with enter. If you do shift enter, it takes you up. Okay, so there's also three main vocabulary words that we use when we talk about the information that we put into our spreadsheets. Labels are words that we use to identify the rows and columns of information. Values are the numbers that we use for calculating. And then we have formulas that we use to total, average, do some math. Okay, so let's start, and we're going to start typing some information in. So click in box A1 or cell A1 if you're not there yet, or there already. And we're just in that box. You don't have to do anything special, but just start typing. We're going to type the word enrollment. And then to accept the information that you put into the cell, we're just going to hit enter. And down row one, or I'm sorry, down column A, we're going to put some information about the names of some of our classes. So let's actually skip a row. So enter down to A3. And our first class, we're going to just call English. And then enter. Then we're going to have American History. And enter. Algebra. And enter. Band. Enter. Choir. Enter. PE. And then we're going to say computers. So all of these words that we've typed in are just labels that are going to represent some numbers that we put in. So we're going to put in numbers of people in each of these classes, and it's completely made up numbers. Notice how history looks like it kind of overflows into column B a little bit because that's a little wider. So the contents of that cell is still in, if I click there, I'm in A4. Notice that anything that I have in a cell when I click in the cell is also shown up here in what's called the formula bar. See the little FX that's kind of gray over there? FX is an abbreviation for function or formula, and this is called the formula bar. So I can type information into that formula bar the same that I can just type it into a cell, or I can edit there as well. So when I'm clicked in A4, in that formula bar, I see all of American history. And now click over into B4. It looks like that Y is in B4, but notice when I click in B4, it shows me that it's empty. So it kind of overlaps there, but it's still all contained in A. So it's really not in B at all. And we'll talk later about how we can make that whiter so it doesn't do that. Okay, so now click up in B2, and we're going to type the words number of students. And that one's going to look like it flows over into C also. So I need to increase my zoom. Can you guys see from the back? You're doing okay. Zoom a little bit. Okay, so now if you want to use your numeric keypad as we go through these, you can, or you can use your numbers on the top row. And we're just going to enter down. And again, these are completely made up numbers. So for English, we're going to type in 65. They're in B3, and then hit enter. Notice that my words that I type in, it aligns to the left side of the cell, but when I put numbers in, it aligns it to the right. That's just a default setting that are in all spreadsheets. Your numlock may not be on, so it's a, yep, there you go. Okay, our number for American history is going to be 48. Algebra 31. Excuse me. And 52. Fire 66. PE 80. And computers 45. Okay, so words align to the left, numbers align to the right. So now we want to create a formula that adds up all of the kids in all classes. So we're going to do that in cell B10. So to create a formula so that your spreadsheet program knows that you're doing math, we always start with an equal sign. So it's going to try to guess what I'm trying to do, and for right now, we're just going to ignore that. So there's simple, fast ways to do formulas, or you can do formulas the long way. Remember when I said we're going to use the name of the cell when we create formulas? So the first thing we're going to do is you can either type it or click in B3, and it's going to add that to my formula. So if you'd rather type B3, you can. Then I'm going to do a plus sign. Then I'm going to type it. Then I'm going to click in B4, or you can type B4. And then I'm going to do plus again, and I'm going to keep going down the column until I have each of the boxes with the numbers included, separating by a plus sign each time. So our formula is going to say equals B3 plus B4 plus B5 plus B6 plus B7 plus B8 plus B9. And once you have the formula all there, you're going to hit enter, and you should get the number 387. Everybody get that? Okay, so let me show you why that's a good way to use the formula. So I could have also said, you don't have to do this, you can just watch me. I could have also said equals 65 plus 48 plus 31 plus 52 plus 66 plus 80 plus 45. And I got the same answer, right? But this is the reason we don't do that, is because I'm going to say, oops, I've got the wrong number of kids in choir. Instead of 66, there should be 68. And when I make my change, my formula down here automatically updated to be the right answer, because I told it to add what's in B7, not the number that's in B7. So this doesn't know that I made the change because I just told it to add numbers. Here I told it to add what's in those cells. So that's why we always use cell references, so that when we make a change or update a formula, then it's always going to fix itself. Did you hit enter? So enter and then it's what? Okay, so if you change your number, did your formula change? Click down in your formula. You need C9 instead of B9. So click up here and backspace. Just click up there. Click up on the C9. And backspace. Now click B9. No. So click in the formula. Right here, instead of 8, it should be 42. Okay, so if you changed your choir to 68, then you should have 389. So when you click in a cell to make a change in a number, you don't have to double click. You don't have to move your insertion point before it. Whatever you type is going to replace what's already there. So if I clicked here just to replace what's already there, all I have to do is just type right over the top of it. I don't have to delete it first. I don't have to make a change. I don't have to move my insertion point. You just click there and type. Okay, questions about any of that? Okay, so it tried to suggest a way for us to add them up. There are easier, faster ways to do that. Because if I had 20 rows of information, I wouldn't want to make that really long formula like we just made. The way that we made that formula is called a simple math formula, and we just use the cell references for every single one. But there are some what are called functions that are built into our program that do it more quickly for us. So when we get back from lunch, I don't want to get started on it, we're going to look at how to use those functions. Okay? Stop my video.